Okay, so again, for the review, now again, most of it should be relatively easy as we're going through, especially because the last section we did had a lot to do with factoring. All right, so here we go. For question number 1, you had to remember to distribute the negative properly. So when you distribute the negative, you end up with 2a minus 5 minus 3a minus 1. So your final answer there should have been what?
C.
Negative a minus 6, which is C. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy, I know. All right, now for number 2, remember you're distributing a 3m squared. Remember, multiply numbers and add exponents. So when you do that, you end up with 6m to the 4th minus 3m cubed. All right, which is what?
D.
I think D is good. Bless you. All right, number 3, again, simplifying. All right, distributing, combining terms. All right, so for number 3, when I distributed 3, we just get 3x squared plus 6x minus x squared plus x. Combining like terms, we end up with 3x squared minus 1x squared, which is 2x squared. 6x plus 1x is 7x. So our final answer here is what? Looks to me like B. Now on question number 4, we have to multiply. So we're going 2n times n, which is 2n squared. Then remember the smiley face. Negative 3n, and then this other one became a positive 8n, and then negative 3 times positive 4, which was negative 12. And then of course you're just combining like terms, so you end up with 2n squared plus 5n minus 12. So the correct answer here is what? B. All right. Number 5. Factoring completely. Remember, remind yourself, always look for what? GCF. That's where most people make a mistake. They don't pull out the GCF first. All right? So what is the GCF here? X. So we pull out an X, and then what's left behind? Y plus 3 minus 2x. So correct answer here is A. Now, a lot of people ask me about this problem, and this was one of the easiest ones. All right, because you forgot. The rule for solving a quadratic is factor, then set the factors equal to 0. The problem with this is it's already what? It's already factored. So all we do is we just set the factors equal to 0. So we say b equals 0, b plus 17 equals 0. This first equation is already solved. So 0 is a solution. And then you solve the second by just saying b equals what? Negative 17. All right. So now my answer is 0 or negative 17, which is what? B. All right. Now again, notice the difference between 6 and 7. 6, there's an equal 0. 7, there is no what? Equal 0. So all you have to do is factor. All right? And again, you're just asking yourself the factors of 42 that make 13, which are
6 and 7.
6 and 7. So it'd be plus 6 and plus 7. Remember, if you do a little smiley face, you can see better the 6m and the 7m, which is 13m. Any issues? Any issues? Okay? Now, you got to be careful on number 8, because when you square a binomial, you get a trinomial, right? And so we're doing 3y minus 1 times 3y minus 1. So 9y squared, negative 3y, and a plus 1. So 9y squared minus 6y plus 1. So correct answer here is what?
B.
B. I also taught you a pattern to these, and that pattern is square the first term. All right, so right off the bat we knew it was going to be 9, so it's not A. Then the middle term is always multiply these two together and then multiply by 2. So 3y times negative 1 is negative 3y times 2, negative 6y. All right, and then the last number squared. All right, so here we go. Let's check out number 9. Now it says the area of a rectangle is y squared minus 8y plus 15. So the area is always what? Length times width. So basically they just wanted to see if you understood that you could do what? Factor that, all right, and see what the possibilities are. All right, and the only way to factor that would be to say what? Right, y minus 3 and y minus 5. So one of the dimensions had to be either y minus 3 or y minus 5. And so the only one they have there is what? Y minus 3. All right, any questions? All right, let's check out 10. All right, 10 was supposed to be there to kind of trick you, even though it's from the first semester, because it's not really a quadratic. All right, so all we're doing here is we're just distributing 6n minus 18 equals negative 4n plus 12. 10n equals 30, so n is equal to what? 3. All right, that wasn't bad. Okay, so now we are on number 11 now. All right, on 11. Now, do you notice it has an equal sign? Right, it's equal to 0. That's cluing you in that once you factor, you have to set the factors equal to 0. So here we go. Factoring. The only way to get 2x squared is equal to 2x times x. And then you want a 5. And you want it to be negative 5. So let's put a 3 and 2 plus 1 minus 3. I'm sorry, 3 and 1. Now let's look right here. How much is this?
1.
And that's,
6.
which makes,
Negative 5.
and then we double check, positive 1 times negative 3 gives me that negative. All right. Anybody have any questions with that? All right, now you have to set the factors equal to 0, remember? So it's 2x plus 1 equals 0, x minus 3 equals 0. So here x equals negative 1/2 or 3. So correct answer has to be what? A. All right. Now number 12, we said this is the difference of squares. All right, difference of squares, 2 sets of parentheses. The only way to make 4m squared, 2n and 2n, and 25 is 5 and 5. The reason why I say that, remember, because if there's no middle term, the factors have to be exactly the same, except one of them is going to be what? And one of them is going to be, that's exactly right. So plus, minus. Anybody have any questions with that? All right, so that correct answer then would be what? B. All right, now let's read this word problem, see if it's hard. A square can be changed into a rectangle by increasing the length of the square by 5 units and increasing the width by 3 units. All right, so the first thing I want to do is let's just visualize a square, right? So what is the length of the side? Do we have any idea? No, we don't, do we? So it's going to be what? X and X. Because it's a square, it's the same. Then what happens? It says you're going to increase one side by what?
5 units.
And the other one by what?
3 units.
Right. So draw yourself another rectangle. And then this would be X plus 5. And this would be what?
X plus 3.
X plus 3. And then they want to just know the area of the new rectangle. And the area of the new rectangle would just be,
X squared.
well, X plus 5 times x plus 3, and then you multiply that out. When you multiply that out again, x squared, middle term plus 5x plus 3x plus 15. So your final answer, x squared plus 8x plus 15. Right? Everybody good with number 13? All right, now 14. Two ways you could do it now because we learned square roots. All right, you could divide by 64 and then take the square root and get plus or minus. But it does specifically say solve by what? Factoring. So when you solve by factoring, you set it equal to 0. So 64y squared minus 25 equals 0. Now you're factoring that. So that would be 8y plus 5, 8y minus 5. Bless you. Now you solve them individually. So 8y plus 5 equals 0. 8y minus 5 equals 0. So we say y is equal to negative 5/8, or y is equal to what? 5/8. Yes. I don't care. All right. So again, the correct answer there would be what?
D.
D. All right. There's two solutions. Yes.
You could just take the square root so that you got 8y equals 5.
Well, first of all, that's not how we did it. All right. We isolated the square term. So let's do this now. It was 64y squared is equal to 25. So y squared is equal to 25 over 64. Then you take the square roots. When you take the square root, it's what? Plus or minus. All right.
What is it, negative 5/8 and 5/8 instead of negative 8?
Well, you tell me. We solved it, didn't we? Subtracted 5, divided by 8. Any questions? Bless you. All right, remember now, standard form is just the largest exponent to the smallest exponent. All right, let me shrink this down out of the way a little bit. All right, so when we go large to small, it's going to be what first? 5x cubed first. So that's out. Then the square term's next. So the only answer now is what? D, right? All right. Largest exponent to smallest exponent. Everybody good? All right. Now, for 16, you're just multiplying. All right. When you multiply 2x times 2x, you get 4x squared. Now let's do the smiley face. Negative 10x and positive 10x do what to each other?
Cancel.
They cancel out. Everybody good with that? All right, now when they cancel out, you just multiply negative 5 times positive 5, which is negative 25. So correct answer is B. All right. Now, once again, I'm just trying to make sure that you see this. There's an equal sign here. So when there's an equal sign, that means you got to solve it. All right, and it's a quadratic, so you have to set it equal to 0. So I want everybody, first thing is set it equal to 0. So you get 2x squared plus 12x plus 18 equals 0. So everybody good with that? And now what? Does everybody see there's a common what? 2. So I want everybody not to factor out the 2, but we're going to divide out the 2. So that becomes x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 0. And now we can what? Factor this. When we factor this, this becomes x plus 3, x plus 3. So x is equal to negative 3. Now this is called, again, a what?
Double root.
It's called a double root because it's the same answer for both. All right. Any questions with 17? Yes.
Why could you like divide it out instead of factoring it out? Like, why
Well,
would-
because it's an equation and we're not. Right. Plus the fact that sometimes kids, when they leave the 2 out in front, they want to do like 2 equals 0 or something. Right? That's why you divide out constants, we say. You divide out constants. Don't divide out a variable. You divide out a constant. All right? Any questions? All right, here we go. Standard form, again, largest to smallest, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So the cube would have to go first, and it's what? Negative 3x cubed. The only one with the negative 3x cubed first is A. So the correct answer had to be what?
A.
A. Anybody have any issues yet? All right, 19, now we're just combining like terms, it looks like. 3c squared plus 1c squared is 4c squared. Negative 8 and negative 8 makes,
Negative 16.
and then plus 5 minus 6.
Negative 1.
So correct answer was,
C.
thank you, C. 4c squared minus 16c minus 1. Any issues? All right, geometry. Okay, so this is the one that caused a little bit of trouble. All right. So it says the length of the rectangle is 5 centimeters more than the width. All right. So just for my own, all right, satisfaction, I just drew a rectangle. And then this was x. All right. And that we would say is the width is unknown. And then the length is what? X plus 5. Now, of course, you could have said L is W plus 5. It's not a big deal. Because you know that the area is when I do what? Multiply them together. So it'd be X times X plus 5, and that's supposed to equal what? 36. So now we say x squared plus 5x equals 36. X squared plus 5x minus 36 equals 0. And now we're just factoring. And the factors of 36 that are, yes, plus 9 and minus 4. However, when we solve this, we get negative 9. That's called an extraneous solution because length can't be negative, or x equals 4. All right? Now, x stands for the what? Width, right? And they're asking about the what?
Length.
Length. So if the width is 4, the length would have to be what?
9.
9. Is everybody okay with that? Any questions? Okay. So 22. Factor completely. So again, this one you should just recognize right off the bat. It's just factoring out a what? GCF. Right? Just factoring out a GCF. So if I look at 88, 24, and 32, even if I don't know what the answer is, I can look at the solutions, A, B, C, D, right? And what does it look like it is? 8. Right? So we pull out an 8. Then we look at the A's. There's an A squared, and an A. So that GCF is what? A. Then, of course, we're looking at the B squared, B, and B squared. So B. We can pull out a B. All right, so 8AB is technically, and so then we can just look at our answer and say the only one with 8AB is what? C. Now, just to finish off the problem, remember you divide numbers and subtract exponents. So 88 divided by 8 was 11. AB plus 3A minus 4B. Again, remember you divide the numbers and subtract exponents. Divide numbers, subtract exponents. Anybody have any questions? Anybody? All right. Again, 23, we're just multiplying. All right. When we multiply 3y times 3y, we get 9y squared. positive 12, and this is a what? Negative 12. So again, they do what to each other?
Cancel.
Cancel out, and then we just end up with minus 16z squared. All right, so correct answer here is what? A. All right, you like to see number 24 because it's already what? It's already factored for you. If it's already factored for you, just set the factors equal to 0. So now we say 3m minus 2 equals 0. 9m plus 5 equals 0. So m is equal to 2/3, or m is equal to negative 5/9. Correct answer here is what? B. Now everybody should be able to quickly do number 25. X squared minus 11x plus 18. Two sets of parentheses. The only way I can make x squared is x and x. Factors of 18 that make 11 are what? Yeah, 9 and 2. And because we want it to be negative 11, they're both negative. All right? So correct answer for 25 is what?
A.
A. Any issues? All right, so let's look at 26. Again, now we're just coming over here going negative 2r squared plus n times negative 2r squared plus n. Negative 2r times negative 2r is positive 4r to the what, though? 4th. All right. Now your smiley face. This is negative 2, and this over here is what? Negative 2. So that's going to give me negative 4, and then it would be r squared n, and then multiplying gives me a positive n squared. So somebody tell me that answer then is what?
C.
Looks like C. All right, anybody have any questions? Hopefully this is all coming back to you.
Why couldn't you just like square the negative 2r squared and square the n instead of like multiplying it?
Because then that would be the wrong answer. Right. When you multiply a binomial, remember you have to do there's a middle term. Do you understand that? Plus, I want to remind you, 2 plus 3 squared is not 2 squared plus 3 squared, is it? 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 squared, the answer should be 25. And if you only square them individually, it's not even close. Okay, so now number 27, there's an equal sign, and it's a quadratic. So quadratics have to be set equal to what? 0. So we have y squared minus 15y plus 56 equals 0. Now when we factor it, we end up with what? Y times y, factors of 56 that are 15. Minus 8 minus 7. So y equals 8, y equals 7. Correct answer is what? A. All right, so for question number 28, we have this. 4x squared minus 2x minus 7. I like to show kids just stack them on top of each other, and then you're just multiplying just like you used to. So when you do 2 times negative 7, you get negative 14. 2 times negative 2x is negative 4x. Positive 8x squared. Now we're doing 3x times negative 7, which is negative 21x. Then you're doing 3x times negative 2x, which is negative 6x squared. And finally, 3x times 4x squared, which is a 12x cubed. So 12x cubed plus 2x squared minus 25x minus 14. So correct answer had to be what? A. Now, does everybody see on a multiple choice test how that would be so easy? Look right here. So I can show you. 3x times 4x squared is what? 12x cubed. So it can't be B or D. And then positive 2 times negative 7 has to be what? Negative 14. All right. Okay, now factoring 7x squared minus 16x plus 4. Honestly, I would never do that on my own. I would just look at the what? Answers. All right, bless you. I would look at the answers. Now, what do I mean by that? First of all, this is how much? Negative 21. Does everybody see that? And this is what? Positive 5. So negative 21 and positive 5 is what? Negative 16. Does everybody agree? So that looks like an answer until you multiply what? Negative 3 times positive 5. That's not what? 4. Does everybody agree? So it's not A. So now again, this is negative 28 plus 1. Is that 16? So that's not the answer. That's what? 14. And that's what? 4. Is that the answer? No. So let's double check here. Negative 14x, negative 2x makes this what? Negative 16x. X times 7x, is that 7x squared? Negative 2 times negative 2, is that positive 4? All right? Which there's actually even an easier way. You just want to look at all the constants are different. Please pay attention here so I can try to help you be better at standardized tests. This is a positive 4, right? So 3 times 5, not 4. Negative 4 times positive 1, negative 4. Positive 2 times negative 4, negative 8. Negative 2 times negative 2, what? That's the only answer. Does everybody see that? What I'm trying to show you, right? There are lots of ways to fix it. All right, lots of ways to come up with the answers. All right, let's take a look here now. All right, so again, it's quadratic. We've got to set it equal to 0. So 5x squared plus 13x minus 6 equals 0. Everybody okay with that? Now we're factoring. 2 sets of parentheses. The only way to make 5x squared is with 5x and x. Now 3 and 2. All right, where should the 3 go? I think it's on the right, even though this is a hard one because it's possible to get 13 from 10 and 3 or 15 and 2. So you got to really double check this. How much is this? 2 and 15. I want it to be positive 13, so that means the 3 has to be the, and the 2 has to be the, and also this one works because I need it to be what? Negative 6, and this negative 2 times that positive 3 is that what? Negative 6. Now once you're there, you set the factors equal to 0. So 5x squared, not 5x squared, but 5x minus 2 equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. So x equals 2/5 or x equals negative 3. So correct answer here is what?
C.
C. All right. Really good job for today. I'm just going to go ahead and knock out 31, and then you guys can finish up on your own. All right, then we'll finish this up on Monday. All right, so let's knock this one out. This one's the difference of squares. What times what's 196?
14.
Yeah, and how did I know for sure? Because I just looked at what? Yeah, I just looked at the answers. That's fine. Come on, guys. So now I know it's 14W and 14W, and then negative 81Z squared, so you should remember it's minus 9Z and plus 9Z. So correct answer has to be what?
C.
C again. All right, so I feel pretty good about that. That's the first half. Now, let me go through again. All right, getting into some quadratics, completing the square, quadratic formula. All right. So listen, completing the square. If you forgot how to complete the square, there is a what?
Video.
Well, there's a video on completing the square. That's a very good idea. But there's also your old notes. You can look up completing the square and just review yourself on that. If you forgot how to graph, listen to me, please. Look information up. That's what you do. I'm trying to show you, you can look information up and recall the information just as fast as it is for me to explain it to you. Is everybody with me? All right, I think that's a good job. Please, I'm not asking you to study over the weekend, but if you want an A, I want this done. All right, I want this done. The exam's going to be just exactly the same. All right, no different. All right, please get this done. Excuse me. All right, good job today. We still got some time, guys. We have like 11 minutes.